Okay, yeah, I can start. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Hakkenberg. I'm coming from Rice University, where I am now. I am in the Department of Statistics, and I'm also associated with the Kinder Institute for Urban Research. But I'm going to talk about my main focus is using remote sensing to think about landscape, scale, community, ecology. I focus on plants. And so there's kind of two things that I'm thinking about here, which kind of correspond to these different studies that are on the bottom here that traverse spatial scales, are forest community dynamics, where I'm thinking particularly about aggregate properties of forests, one of those being biodiversity, but of course other things like composition and structure, and how those compare to individual kind of metrics, individual stems or species in ways of characterizing forest dynamics. And the second thing is really trying to get away from this kind of remote sensing centric thinking about canopies and thinking about instead about the entire stand. So that includes the ground strata and other sorts of organisms that can be found throughout the forest stand. So the kind of the first four here are that scale. The second two is thinking about larger spatial scales as well as temporal scale processes, and thinking about land cover change. And so some of the recent projects, thinking about going from discrete classes of land cover types changing to continuous fields, so thinking about things like fractional covers, so that we can think about that easily with forest canopies, but also things like impervious surfaces. And generally speaking here, you know, it's utilizing our computational power to get fine resolutions in large extents. So the kind of two themes I think that I, think about are prediction. We have a set of models, especially machine learning works very well for that. But if we're trying to do inference into processes, into mechanisms, sometimes other sorts of statistical methods work better, specifically Bayesian hierarchical models. So this is an example from some of my work looking at using machine learning to do prediction and thinking about scale. So on the left is scaling of species diversity from 900 meters squared down to sub-meter. And on the right is thinking about compositional scaling, so thinking about the ways that we designate different communities, and then thinking instead also about how we think about continuous change through space. Now getting on to inference, using Bayesian models, I think we can start to think about underlying processes. Here's a few examples. I would love to talk about them more with you, but my time's out, so thank you.